Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another episode of what is the Arsenal Transfer Show. Joining you every morning at 8 a.m. Hopefully, fingers crossed. It nearly didn't happen today. Very, very nearly did not happen. Wi-Fi has been terrible. I've had to move positions. The background, if you can see any of it, is different to what it was yesterday. I'm now using a friend of mine's phone hotspot to do this as well. It's been a chaotic morning, and it's going to be a shorter show because of that, because I can't steal someone's phone for an hour, and I've got to get this uploaded afterwards as well. But thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sticking with us, and thank you so much for all of the kind comments that you left on yesterday's show. I really appreciate the fact that you appreciate the commitment that goes on with this, which is fantastic. I'm just trying to check if my camera's working. It is indeed. I'm hoping that the audio and the visual sounds are good and well, and that you are too. Good morning to those joining us in the chat box. I know I didn't do that at the start of yesterday's show, so good morning. We've got Temi, we've got Paul, we've got Jose, Craig, we've got Matt, we've got 3Js, we've got Steve, Alpha, Tony, Richard, Matt G. Good morning. We've got Marcus and Craig and plenty more of you guys as well. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. It is very much appreciated. And yes, really, really excited, hopefully, for what is, I kind of suspect it's still going to be a relatively quiet Sunday. Of course, there's things we've got to talk about that happened yesterday. But regarding announcements, Arsenal tend to like doing them on weekdays. I'm not saying that there won't be announcements today, but Arsenal tend to like them on the weekdays. That said, who knows? Maybe Timber gets announced today and we see Rice tomorrow, or both on the same day, potentially. Anything's possible. But what I hope that you're doing is enjoying your weekend thus far, and certainly getting out there. And I say out there, it's pretty miserable here in the UK. So I'm hoping the weather might be slightly better wherever you are. But let's get on with today's stories, shall we? Let's go to Emile Smith-Rowe. First of all, massive, massive achievement. Emile Smith-Rowe winning with the England the Euros under 21 European Championships. Scoring early on in the tournament, didn't manage to get on the score sheets in the final, but I had some really interesting moments, some brighter moments, I feel, in the second half before he was taken off. But England getting a goal through Curtis Jones, although it was a free kick from Cole Palmer, it eventually was deflected off Curtis Jones into the back of the net. Abel Ruiz at the end missing a penalty, James Trafford saving it in the 99th or like 100th minute, something like that. It was a frenetic end to the game. It was drama-filled. It was a really interesting game of football. And certainly at least, Emile Smith-Rowe coming away with a trophy is a fantastic achievement, and certainly something that we all are very, very happy. He will be bringing away some key experience, some key knowledge as well of those tournament competitions. I think getting his confidence back was really important. He really lacked that last season, showing he can play a number of games. But what this does mean, of course, is that in terms of a fitness perspective, he is going to be out of action for a little bit. All of the players we'll talk about shortly, the majority of them at least, are back now. But Smith-Rowe will be granted that extended holiday. His season has been very long. That said, he didn't play too many minutes during the season. So perhaps this has acted a bit of a prelude to preseason, if you will. But Smith-Rowe is expected to be given an extended break before returning potentially for the US tour. But I'd be shocked to see him involved before the game in Germany against Nuremberg. So that's Emile Smith-Rowe and his future at the club looking bright. Premier League fixtures have been rescheduled with, of course, the season now getting underway. September's games have been found to have their TV rescheduling. For those planning on travelling over to the UK for any fixtures, I can tell you that those August games are still confirmed. That's Nottingham Forest on the Saturday 12th at 12:30 p.m. lunchtime kickoff. Monday the 21st, we're playing against Crystal Palace. 9 days later, that's a Monday night at 8 p.m. away from home. Not great for travellers. 26th, Saturday the 26th of August, Fulham at home, 3 p.m. That won't be on TV in that case. September games, no 3 p.m.s to start off. There is one at the end, though. Manchester United at home, Sunday 3rd at 4:30 p.m. Saturday 16th, we play Everton at Goodison Park at 5:30 p.m., which is a frustrating one again for travellers going all the way up to Liverpool. That might be a hotel job. It's certainly going to be for me if I'm going to be up there. And Sunday 24th, Spurs, 2 p.m. on Sunday, the 24th of September. 2 p.m. kickoff for that one. So that's good news for that being relatively early on, but it is a North London derby, so not too much travelling going on there. And then Saturday, the 30th, away at Bournemouth. 3 p.m. kickoff stays the same. No changes for TV scheduling, but that does also mean, being a Saturday, that the Bournemouth game will not be televised. So that's going to be frustrating for some supporters always that aren't able to get to the games, especially here in the UK. But it's 2 games in the first 2 months that will not be televised, sadly. Moving forwards, and Kai Havertz joined in with Arsenal's squad for plenty of action in training over the weekend. I did report on Thursday that Arsenal and the majority of their squad would indeed be back this weekend, and as you can see from the photos, and I said yesterday that information certainly was accurate and that the players have indeed returned over the weekend. Kai Havertz also took a visit to the Emirates Stadium. You can see images on Arsenal's social feeds of the German international in and around the Emirates Stadium, getting familiar with his new home. But Thomas Partey was involved, and plenty of others as well. Lots expected. Following Balogun also expected back at the club as well. Talks over his future are expected to take place. But the majority of the squad now back. The only ones that I'm aware that probably certainly aren't in the case of Matt Turner, who's still playing in the Gold Cup with the US men's national team. And of course, Emile Smith-Rowe, that has the extended holiday, as I've already mentioned, because of the Euro 21 final as well. Moving forwards, and Arsenal played their first game of pre-season yesterday, a behind closed doors friendly with Watford, very regular. In the early part of pre-season. Apologies, by the way, if you can hear the rain in the background. It is hammering down outside, so apologies if you can pick that up on the microphone. But a young side played, and, well, I say young, we've got a fairly strong first 11 that went out in the first half. Arthur Okonkwo in goal, Ben White, Gabriel, Rob Holding, Cedric was the back 4. In midfield was Miles Lewis-Skelly, Leandro Trossard in kind of a midfield 2. Interesting that Trossard looked to be playing an inside central midfield role there. And then Reece Nelson, Mauro Bandera, Gabriel Jesus, and Eddie Nketiah, the front 4 options involved in things there. Very interesting indeed. Mauro Bandera, of course, the Portuguese player that's been taken away a number of times to the senior side with Mikel Arteta, very highly thought of. And then the substitutions that the majority of came on in the second half. James Hilson was the goalkeeper. Marquinhos, Mika Bieref, Mario Koja-Dubry, Jimmy Gower, Jack Henry Francis, Alex Kirk, who we talked a lot actually about on our loan show, was away at Ayr United in Scotland, did really well actually on loan. Brooke Norton-Cuffy as well, another loanee that spent time at Rotherham and Coventry last season. Ethan Nwaneri, who's just recently signed his brand new professional contract, as has Ismail Ulad, and not pro contracts, the scholarship contracts they've signed. Charles Sago Jr., Lino Souza, and Rule Waters as well, also getting game time. But it was a 1-1 draw. Marquinhos got the goal after Watford took the lead in the first half. It was a Mario Koja-Dubry fantastic drive towards goal, cutting on the left-hand side, swinging shot across the keeper. Keeper saves, but Marquinhos is there to tuck in the rebound. If you want to watch the highlights, they are available, of course, on the Arsenal YouTube channel, I believe, and on the Arsenal website. So one of those 2 locations, you'll be able to find all of the clips and views. You cannot miss out on watching back the first game of pre-season, which, you know, is nothing to really write home about. It's a game to build fitness. It's a game that's designed to just give players an opportunity to get on the field and play some football. Nothing to be read too much into. Of course, you saw the comedic tweets of it was just 1-1. Arteta out. That's the way forward. So we can't even beat Watford. Massive. I remember, I feel like last season, I might be wrong about this, but I feel like we got absolutely battered in a game against Brentford behind closed doors in the season that we competed for a title. These behind closed doors friendlies don't mean all that much. They're just fitness exercises, to be honest. But great to see Marquinhos, I suppose, get on the score sheet. That's a positive and a big boost for him, and maybe putting himself more in the shop window during this transfer window. Moving into a couple of transfer stories. First of all, you may remember the name of Noa Lang was interested. Arsenal was said to be interested very heavily in him last summer. He will not be joining Arsenal because he is joining PSV. The Club Brugge and Netherlands international will return to his homeland of the Netherlands and play for PSV next season. Arguably the more natural replacement in the end for Cody Gakpo, although maybe this is a bit of a cover off of Xavi Simons maybe leaving PSV as well. But Noa Lang certainly will not be moving to Arsenal. He's off to play for PSV. And lastly, our headline story from a transfer sense of the day is on Ivan Fresneda. Spanish youth international. Arsenal have had an interest in him since January and a little bit time before that as well. I did report last month that Arsenal would make a decision on Ivan Fresneda after they had kind of concluded the saga of Declan Rice. And, you know, as timing works very nicely in the world, Spanish outlet Dario reporting that Arsenal have indeed revived that interest in Ivan Fresneda. Barcelona has said, though, to be very interested. At the time when I reported that Arsenal were going to make a decision on him, it was Borussia Dortmund that were leading the race. If you remember, there was actually a report that came out from Bild back in June suggesting that Borussia Dortmund had even pretty much closed out the deal, which certainly has turned out not to be the case. But Arsenal's interest in the right back is certainly something that I have been told and been talking about on the channel for some time. There's been a lot of skepticism, a lot of suggestions that Arsenal's interest in right backs may not be there, but I've been certainly informed that a right back is on the agenda. We talked about the interest in Jeremy Frimpong, and now further reports suggesting that Arsenal have revived that interest again in Ivan Fresneda. Whether or not Arsenal move for a right back remains to be seen, but the interest is still very much there. And if an opportunity arises for the club, it seems that they will try and take that if possible. Right, that's the end of part one. Let's move to part two and your questions right after this. It is really hammering down outside the rain now. So again, apologies if that is being picked up by the microphone. I'm hoping that it's just a little pitter-patter in the background. Of course, if you want to donate and get involved in our latest fundraiser, you can. We're supporting Cancer Macmillan in memory of our good friend, dear friend, Vinny Eagle. Myself and a few friends are going to be taking part in a 72-hole golf challenge at the end of this month on the 31st of July. So I look forward to that. If you're based in the UK, you can get involved. Basically, for those that have sent me DMs, for those based outside of the UK, I'm going to be replying to those when I get back from holiday. It's just not been possible whilst I've been away. But for those that have messaged, do not hesitate. I will be getting in touch once I've returned from my break. Thank you, everyone that's got involved. Did actually manage to get out and play a round of 18. Best round of 18 I've ever played, ended on 92. Never broken 100 before. Managed to absolutely smash that. Had the best round of golf I've ever played. It was a very forgiving course, quite wide open here in the New Forest, which I think certainly contributed, but really a big confidence booster to get 92, and was very, very happy with that scoreline indeed. Right, Q&A, which I've made a slide for because I don't think it's worth you seeing my blurry face when the internet's not been that great. Right, let's go and have a look at some of these questions then. Let's go to scroll up a little bit in the chat box. John says, with the devastating 1-1 draw to Watford, is it time to scrap the Saka, Saliba, Rice experiments and re-sign Mustafi and Aubameyang? John, frankly, any other course of action would be ludicrous. Frankly, I think you should probably be in charge of the club at this point, John. That's a fantastic idea. Marcus says, are you doing a carpool? If so, who's your guest? No carpool. I am inside my own car today, but I've parked up in a different location to try and get a better Wi-Fi. It didn't work, so I'm now borrowing a friend's hotspot to do the show today. Craig says, hey, Tom, as it stands, what is our best starting 11? I'm going to run through this very quickly for you. Ramsdale, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko, Rice, Havertz. Rice, Partey, Odegaard, and Saka, Jesus, and Martinelli. You could swap out Partey for Havertz depending on what opposition you're playing against. But I think when you're going up against Man City, you'd probably start Rice and Partey together. Adam says, Walters and Brook Norton-Cuffy deserve a shot at backup right back, or one should go out on loan. We have Tommy there too, so signing another right back is a bit much. I disagree personally. I still think that a right back is an option that Arsenal have. I think from my perspective, I watched quite a bit of Brook Norton-Cuffy last season. He is still very raw. I'm not sure if there is enough talent there to ensure that a future at Arsenal is on the cards yet. I think there's still more to come from him. It's a big ask to see him have a future at the club, to be honest. I think he needs another loan this season, ideally to a championship side that are fairly high up. Of course, Coventry getting promotion to the Premier League last season through the playoffs. Failing to get promotion to the Premier League through the playoffs, losing to Luton in the final, of course. I think that another side that would be pushing for playoffs, or maybe a side fell down in the Premier League, maybe Luton, would be a good side to send Brooke Norton-Cuffy to. On Rule Waters, interesting player, of course, can play right back, can play centre back. Very much, it seems, in the style of the Ben Whites and your Tommy Asus of this world, because that ability, I'd say he does produce more technically going forwards, potentially with promise, not established quality, but certainly in terms of promise. I think that there's just scope for us to bring in something that gives us a bit different in that right back role that could give us something more immediately. Lucas says, weird, but I found out about the channel at Christmas, and now all I can think about is when I hear the theme tune, it's now Christmas. You should watch the show I did where we did like the announcement of me getting the Arsenal writer role, where I did kind of a big montage, which has the full length version of the intro song. I'll probably be using that at our live event when that comes around as well. Crazy Golf doesn't count, says PD Ween. I can certainly assure you it was not Crazy Golf. Let's go to Eamon says, hey, Tom, who replaces Xhaka in the leadership group? And also, who will take on the honorary role of the protector of the young players of the squad? I think Declan Rice, to be honest, Eamon. I think the answer is fairly easy as a conclusion to come up to. I think Declan Rice will take on that leadership role, and I think he'll be absolutely key in being a really big kind of figurehead in the team as well. Raheem says, Tom, hi, how many players do you think will get in the transfer window? I think 1 or 2 more. If Partey stays, 2. Rather 2 if Partey leaves. I think I agree with you. I think 1 if Partey stays. If Partey goes, I think 2. I think you got it spot on, Raheem. I think maybe a right back and a centre midfielder are still very much on the cards. Maybe a forward, maybe a attacking kind of nippy attacking forward is something that we might see as well. Let's go to Akaya says, why is no one interested in Milinkovic-Savic? It's a good question. Why is there no one interested? Why is no one moving from Milinkovic-Savic? Is that a bit of a sign that maybe we're significantly overrating Milinkovic-Savic? He is a player that has been of interest to Arsenal in the past. Can't deny that he's done very well at Lazio. Maybe it's the age profile. Maybe it's like the investment that it would take to sign Milinkovic-Savic is just not worth the return, and the fact that you're signing a player that's not going to give you anything back as well. Robert says par 3. I tell you what, par 3s are my trickiest hole. Like I really struggle on par 3s. They are without a doubt the trickiest one. My drives are pretty good, although I do end up slicing quite a few, which helped when it was a really forgiving course. But the par 3s do get in my head, so I need to be a lot better. I need to go back to the pitch and putt, I think, and improve significantly. Ronald says, who would you prefer, Moussa Diaby or Frimpong? It's a good question. I think it depends on the price. I think Frimpong's half the price of Diaby, for instance. I think if you sign Diaby, you're going to have to spend an amount of money that probably stops us signing him at centre mid. I think if you sign Frimpong, you can still get a centre midfielder potentially too. So let's wait and see. Let's wait and see what happens. But I think either would be great. I'm going to cop out and say I'd happily have either at the club at Arsenal next season. Penny Wayne says the under-21's winning a trophy. Does that help Smith Rowe get game time going forwards? I don't think it improves his opportunity for game time. I do think it gives him his confidence back, which maybe in turn indirectly will affect him getting more game time because he'll be a better player off the back of it. But I think it's going to increase his confidence, improve his mood, improve everything about him, basically. So I look forward to seeing what he's capable of in the future at Arsenal. But I think it can only be a good thing, him winning that tournament. Right. As I said, it is going to be a shorter show this morning, and I am going to keep that promise. Apologies for that, but with the chaos of what it is and borrowing people's phones for hotspots, thank you to everyone that's tuned into the show so far. It means so much, especially always on a Sunday. A Sunday is always a special occasion, I think, for those that tune in live. It does show some really fantastic dedication. And for those that do catch up as well, thank you to all of you as well, and on audio platforms also. Do drop a like on the video if you haven't done already. It means so much that you continue to tune into these shows and make these part of your morning routine. Fingers crossed we'll have another show for you tomorrow. I shall keep those fingers crossed continuously because, of course, it is sometimes a bit of a struggle to get these shows out, especially while I'm away on holiday. So anything to show that appreciation would very much be appreciated. But thank you for listening. Enjoy your Sunday. Maybe we'll get an announcement a little bit later on today. We can keep those fingers crossed that we do. Other than that, it's been a real pleasure, as it always is. And as always, up the Arsenal.